Hi everyone, and welcome to this panel all about everything to do with the WriteMentor Hub. I'm really excited to be with Rachael, Katina and Sarah today, and they're going to be telling us a little bit about their writing journeys and how they relate to the Hub and how we all know each other. And it's a really nice community on there, and you can learn a little bit more about what we do. And in case you want to join yourself, possibly after or during this conference. So I'll get cracking. Let's go around and introduce everyone. So Sarah, do you want to go first? Introduce yourself and where you're up to with your writing journey?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Daniels and I'm the author of this book, which is just out. Well, now it was out 2 weeks ago, but when the conference goes out, it'll have been out a little bit longer. And this is a near future dystopian thriller set on a derelict cruise ship for young adults. So yeah, I'm a member of the Hub as well. And I'm just writing my second book. So that's kind of why I'm still using the Hub's creative energy. And
second book syndrome. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, and it's so nice to see because you're sort of debuting but also looking into the future for stuff, and it's so exciting for everyone to see on the Hub, which is really nice. And let's go around to Katina. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Katina Wright, as you can probably see. I have been writing probably forever and done loads of writing courses, helped other people with things, done creative writing for children, and never quite got myself out there. And then when I finally decided, that's it, I'm going to start sending stuff out because I've got all these in my bottom drawer, then my health failed. So it was like, no, got to know Stuart about this point before WriteMentor. And from there, as he started to do WriteMentor, it came all at the right time for me. And certainly by the time we had that first conference, it could have been more perfectly timed. I'd gone from going out and being with people to being stuck inside. And you kind of, the thing with the Hub or any creative community like that is you do feed off each other a little, bounce off ideas, and you need a little bit of, So obviously I joined the Hub as soon as that went up, and yeah, it's been really helpful. So at the minute, I've just finished drafting a middle grade book. Yeah. I did win a place on the first WriteMentor summer program, and unfortunately that was just in the middle of that I got taken ill and in hospital. So it kind of, from there, I've been trying to get myself back, and the community's been really helpful. So
oh, that's so good to hear. That's so nice. And also nice, yes, everyone, we did not just invent Stuart for WriteMentor. He's not just a robot that was created. He actually existed before, which a lot of people don't know. So that's a little secret for everyone, that he's actually a real person. That's always nice, isn't it? Amazing. And who have we got? Last but not least, it is Rachael Davis. Do you want to introduce yourself, Rachael? And I can see your selection of books behind you.
Yeah, which I'm really hoping don't fall down because they're very precariously balanced. But yeah, I'm Rachael. I've been in the Hub a couple of years, and I write a range of different books for children, ranging from picture books up to non-fiction for teens, reading scheme books and chapter books. And I think that's why I love being part of the Hub, is because there's writers of all different genres, ages, stages, and we're all just one big community wherever we're up to in our journey. So it's nice to be a part of that community.
Yeah, it's so nice. That's kind of why I picked everyone today, because I got to have all the power and pick the panel for the Hub. I was very excited. So I picked you guys because I thought it's really nice that you're all very involved with the Hub and you're all at different stages. So we've got obviously Sarah's like debut year, and Katina has, yes, as of recording, everybody, Katina finished the draft of her book that she's been working on in the sprints, which I will get into later, guys, because I'm obsessed with sprints, which is amazing. And then of course Rachel's just prolific, and I don't know how she does it. I'm pretty sure there are 7 or 8 Rachels. I don't know which Rachael we're talking to right now, but there must be, for all the stuff you're doing. So it's so exciting to talk to everyone. So yeah, let's get into some questions. I have a couple of questions here. So my first question is, why did you sign up to the WriteMentor Hub? So why did people sign up? Maybe what were you expecting when you signed up? That's what I'm thinking about. And then we can maybe chat about some of the reasons, because I think a lot of people watching will be wondering, what exactly they might want to expect from the hub, because there's a few different online communities, even for just kid lit, which is what we specialize in. So let's go to Katina first. What were you thinking when you signed up for the hub? You were saying you signed up right at the beginning and you knew Stuart the robot. Was it the power of Stuart the robot that made you sign up? Did you know this is going to be something fun and interesting, an online community? What were you thinking?
Well, you know, I kind of got to know Stuart originally in those dark, cold days before the hub because of his Star Wars gifts. They are, I've admitted it, I was sucked in by them. So I was kind of hoping for more Star Wars gifts, really. But yeah, other than that,
careful what you wish for. Yeah,
I know.
We don't have a Star Wars channel.
We need one. That is so true.
How
we
have we gone this far and we don't have a Star Wars?
That is bizarre, actually.
He does have his TikTok now. He has his
true.
TikTok, and there's a lot of good Star Wars content.
That's true. That is so true. Yeah, so I'll share that on the hub as well, because I'm shameless in the hub. I want everyone to see Stuart from all his Star Wars angles. That is a big part of the hub, guys, if you're watching. So okay, so Star Wars, Katina, yeah, that is to be expected.
The community on Twitter I found has always been good. So I've been on there for I think 14 years, it told me the other day, and it's always a really good place to meet other writers, and I think the children's writers community is great, but it's sort of limited with Twitter. Right. So you can join in with chats, and you can DM each other. So when the community was set up, I thought that this is brilliant. We have a place where we can all meet at any time, and we haven't got to trawl through all tweets, and and that's what it's become, and more, because it's provided lots of learning opportunities as well as the community aspect. So yeah, that's why I joined. I wanted to be able to be part of a community even though I was stuck at home, and I always used to join in so much, and then of course everybody wanted that even more during lockdown. But before that, even then, that was important to me. So the community that I could reach and feel part of.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you talking obviously about your ill health and how that had a real impact on your writing, I'm sure, in other parts of your life as well. And so I think what we were really striving to achieve with the hub was something that was really accessible to everyone. So hopefully, I know we're always striving to do more. We don't always hit the mark, but hopefully we're getting there. So it's really nice to hear that. Actually, that's a really nice reason. And what about you, Rachel? What about when do you remember roughly when you did join the hub and what you were expecting?
I was just trying to get that through, because I definitely think it was around baby break. I think I just had my second baby. Okay. And so regardless of lockdown, I couldn't really get out and do any kind of all three things. So the hub was coming a bit, like Katina was saying, a good time for me. But I think more than anything, I've been following WriteMentor and what they've been doing. I got to a conference, and I just like to approach to things that it was a very inclusive community. And I think that's, Twitter is great, but you don't really get those deep conversations because they'll move on, or you don't really know people. So I like the fact that the hub would be that, but I think as well, seeing the authors in residence, I just thought Claire Helen Welsh, Ashley Hardy, I was like, every month. I was like, I could learn from them every month. And I think I liked the idea of having that kind of monthly check-in to give me some focus, to give me something to work on. And at the time, I was very much... I was reasonably new with my agent. We've been selling picture books, but I wanted to break into chapter books and longer work. And so it was a good time for me, although I kind of felt like I'd sort of found a critique group with picture books. I didn't really know anyone writing longer stuff. So I still felt very new in a different genre. So I kind of joined to work on that aspect of my writing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well. I've noticed so many people are able to, I was about to say jump around age group. That's not exactly how I mean it, but it's quite nice that you can try out another age group, because there's this there's lots of different channels for different age groups, and you can try something out. And even if it's not quite for you, you will not get shunned unless you're in my YA group, and then I will shun you. Everyone should write one down. I'm joking. Kind of joking. And it's a really nice place where you can try out different things, and people are willing to swap stuff. And I know it's so often in the critique groups as well, people sort of moving around for different critique groups. That's a really nice reason. And Sarah, so do you remember roughly when you joined and what was going on in your life made you join, or are you just thinking like it just feels like I was reborn that day when I joined the hub, and that's it now, that was my life? Of course.
No, I can't remember at all when I joined. I know it's been a while. It's like Yeah, it's been a while. I can't remember. But my reasons are much the same as everybody else. You know, I've got 4 kids and we live in a rural area, and to go to an in-person writing group would be like, it would be at least half a day, and that's just not the kind of thing that you're able to do when you've got any kids, really. It just makes it a lot more difficult. And so I was in some online writing groups, but not YA focused, so that added another kind of difficulty. So when the hub started, and it was, I had a chance to be in a YA critique group, that was a really nice new thing to do. So yeah, it just works for me.
Yeah, being specific is so true with geography. I live in a rural area and I'm in a loveliest critique group, IRL critique group, but I am the only children's writer. Even YA, it's that slightly different age group and sometimes there are certain things, I'm sure everyone's had this, oh, isn't this a bit dark? You can't say that in a children's book. I'm like, have you read The Hunger Games? But yeah, have you read The Stranded by Sarah Daniels? Have you read that? Because it's quite dark. Yeah, so absolutely, you can totally, I'm so sorry, Sarah, I'm always saying your book's name wrong, but that's because I'm just so excited when I talk about it, because it's dystopian and YA, and I'm so excited to find it back. But it's lovely to connect with people and to find people like in your genre that are so specific and know exactly the sort of stuff you want to be writing about, because writers, we're so specific anyway, and then to find even more specificity, so nice. Okay, well, those are really good reasons, guys, and very much what I wanted to talk about with how inclusive the hub can be, and as I say, we're always striving to do, especially with WowCon and stuff. So another question. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put you guys on the spot. Name one way in which having writing friends is better than writing alone. So obviously at WriteMentor, we say writing can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. That's our tagline on our homepage. I'm sure everyone at the conference here has seen the tagline. So obviously when we made the hub, it was one of the ways we were trying to make things less lonely and people to have more of a community of writers that they could go to. So anybody got one way in which having writing friends is better than writing alone? I guess we'll go straight back to Sarah. Let's put her on the spot. Okay, Sarah, what about it? What's good, especially in a rural area, 4 kids, you know?
I think it's because they understand what you're going through.
Right.
You know, the emotions, the roller coaster of writing or not writing, or, you know, something bad's happening to your characters. And I feel like non-writers can't understand the kind of emotional turmoil that goes on when you're trying to create something. So I think it's just having a group there that kind of empathizes and understands with your neuroses in a very specific way is what I enjoy about having a writers group.
Yeah, that is very true. Before we move on to Katina and Rachel's answers, Katina, what do you think about that? The whole thing of maybe our neuroses being a little bit what other writers could understand, even better than possibly sometimes even the fam at home, which is a very controversial opinion, but sometimes true.
I definitely think if I had some of the conversations I have with writing friends, with other friends, they'd be like, we knew you were crazy, but you really do live in a different world, like up in the clouds. Yeah. I do. But most of my good friends know that anyway, but we kind of, I don't know, I think especially children's writers, I've had a lot of writing groups or adult writers, and I don't see this have that same connection as I've noticed I get with children's writers. So I don't know if it's specific that we can still tap into being a child and being sort of fantastical and in our imagination. So yeah, I think that is really important to find people that get you, really. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe even more with children's writers. So true, because I don't have any children. So I definitely have to tap into that inner child, which is easy enough because I live in my parents' attic. So it's just like being a child every day. It's perfect for me. So I do need to log on to the hub. You know, just I love my mother and father so much. However, it's good to get onto the hub and talk to some writers sometimes. But enough about me. Rachel, what do you think about writers' neuroses, as I have just overshared on the panel there? Do you think it's good to have somewhere where you can sort of chat to people specifically about writing worries, and especially thinking about sometimes I definitely feel like I'm saying my diamond shoes are too tight, right? When you're talking about maybe, oh, I'm really worried about this book coming out, I'm really worried about this cover. But it's great to go and find other people, even people at the same stage as you maybe in the hub, and have a little chat about those writing neuroses.
Yeah, I think we haven't quite said it, but I think one of the big things that everybody feels, even if they don't always put a name to it, is just this imposter syndrome at some point. However it comes across, whether it's about your writing or whether it's about submitting to agents or going on submission or your debut being published, normally every writer's going to get that at some point in some way. And I'm in some other critique groups that I was in before the hub, and they're great, and we swap work. But I think the hub is a lot more than that. The hub isn't just kind of a group of like 15, 20 writers that sit around and get to know each other really well. It's a really big community. And so although you've got, which is great, all of the kind of things you get from a regular critique group, you have the added advantage that sometimes if those groups and you're all kind of at the same stage when you form, you don't really know what's the next step. You don't really know, how to kind of make that next jump, or if this feels right or if it doesn't. And the hub, where you've got writers at all different stages and it's just everybody's helping everybody, I think it gives that extra layer of support, because you kind of get a better overview of what it's like to be an author long term, and the ups and the downs, because I think it can always look grass is greener, especially on somewhere like Twitter where people are just tweeting the good stuff. And in the hub, it's a safe space for you to ask all those questions that you wouldn't put on Twitter. So you kind of, you get a lot more support than you get from like a smaller writing community, which is lovely. But the hub just gives you that, it's got that homely small feel, but there's actually a really big community, and they've got a lot of different experiences, so I think for me coming in, that's what was really good about it, was that we all were kind of supporting each other. But it doesn't matter if you're in a different genre. There might be, I'm writing a picture book, but there's a YA author who's gone through something that I'm going through that's similar, and then we'll still help each other. So it gives you a much bigger support network. And it does mean as well that whatever your wacky neurosis is, there is definitely at least one other person in the hub that agrees. So you're never alone, which is their slogan.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think me and Rachel are both mentors on WriteMentor as well. And I find when I'm talking to writers, so I'm obviously talking to pre-published writers, we say pre-published because we're going to get there. And it's great talking to people. And I also do the summer mentoring program. And it's amazing talking to people at different stages and remembering, I remember this actually. And it's really nice being able to give backwards stuff like I would have loved to have known about. I always try and think, what would I really wanted to know at this stage? And I can give that back, and it's really nice. But then also there's loads of stuff I want to know from people further down the road. So you'll never quite finish learning. Every day's a school day, especially in the hub. We do call it the Community Learning Hub. So it's really nice, that I think. It's great. Did you have something to say, Katina?
I was just going to say that's part of it for me as well. When in 2018 was when I was a summer mentee, and that was with a YA entry. So I'd pretty much mostly written YA, but I had tried middle grade and everything. But to friends, they were like, "Oh, you've written it, and then you got on that mentorship, and then well, we know you've been ill, but what's happening?" And they don't really get, "Oh, but you've just written a middle grade, but this has been going on for years, they don't sort of, they approach it differently, because they think you just write a book and it's really easy and you just write once, I go, you do edit it a lot, really? They don't really sort of understand that. And then it kind of feel like in the hub, we kind of, everybody knows that. A lot of people have tried different age groups, and they're not necessarily like you were saying, Rachel, and but also that they get that it isn't that straightforward, that because you finish one book and you've edited it and you got so far with it, that it means that you are definitely successful and haven't moved on to something else and so on. I'm going to still go back to that YA book, don't get me wrong, but people would understand that more. I think with other writers, they kind of get the whole way it works, whereas I think friends are really supportive in their own way, but I don't think they really understand, basically.
I really agree with that. And I think one of the hardest things, because the journey is so long, you're always told to celebrate all the little wins. But if you tell your non-writing friends all the little wins, they sometimes think they're really big wins, and then have all these expectations of like, oh, I should see you in the newspaper tomorrow then, or they don't really get it in context. And we have like channels within the hub where we put all our celebrations. It doesn't matter how big or small they are, everyone is cheering for you, and it's so nice to be able to just say everything, but without any pressure or expectation of what that means next. They're not going to ask you, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? They're just going to be in the moment with you. And I think, well, at least my friends and family would get too tired of me if I did that to them. So it's nice to have the hub where you can actually just celebrate all those things with your writing friends.
Yes, we love celebrations. I think on Friday, Felicitations Friday, I should really know, I came up with it. Felicitations Friday, I'm always saying, like, I want to hear if you've written 100 words. I want to hear if you've just won the Carnegie Medal. I want to hear both. Like, I want to hear everything. Let's all talk about it, because it's really nice as well. There's nothing nicer than when you start cheerleading for other people. And I didn't get that for a long time, actually, and didn't realize how much better it makes you feel, especially if you're having a tough day. It's so easily, I know that jealousy can seep in. Every writer's had it. You've been querying for a long time. Your friend's written one book and immediately got an agent, or, you know, and you want to be pleased for them, but it can be really tough. But actually, if you push ahead and really cheerlead for them, it's amazing how much it like lifts your mood as well. It's really nice. So it can help a little bit cut through that jealousy. I don't know if we had anything else anybody wants to jump in. I think we pretty much covered quite a lot of what people think their number one thing about having writing friends is, right? I think we pretty much covered it. So we can move on actually to my next question. What's the best part of the hub? What do you use the most? This is my favorite question, because this is basically marketing for me. So this is great. It gets my job done for me. So I can't wait to hear your answers. Obviously mine, I'm going to go first because I'm in charge of the hub, and mine is sprinting, and everyone will know this because I believe that I just want to get words down on a page, and Katina knows that our motto is, what do we want? Quantity. What don't we care about? Quality. We don't care about quality. We just want those words down on the page. And so it's a great place where you can come and you can always celebrate, even if you just written 50 words, because it's 50 more than you had half an hour ago. So it is my favorite bit of the hub are the sprints that we do Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and third Monday of the month, and sometimes weekends, you know, if Stuart's on. You never know. It's crazy. We do them all the time because we love them. So what is everybody else's? I'm going to bounce back to Sarah. Sarah, what is your favorite part of the hub? What do you use the most?
It really depends on where I am in the writing process. So when I'm actually writing and drafting, it's sprints. And that's what really keeps me going and gets the words down. And that little spreadsheet that you run where I can put the quotes in, the numbers in. Yeah. That's fuel for me. But then once I've written and I'm editing, and then I kind of transition into using my little YA2 critique group, who are awesome, and I love them, and they give such good feedback. And then now that I'm getting towards the end of writing this book too, I'm kind of trying to subdue the imposter syndrome. So I'm going back to a lot of tutorials and kind of the training materials, and you know, every time I feel like I don't really understand how to do something, I go and find something on the hub to watch. And you know, it gives me a little bit of a confidence boost, and it makes me think, yeah, okay, I do know how to write, it's okay. And if I don't, then there is somewhere that I can go to find out. So yeah, that's kind of my process through the book writing period.
That's so interesting that it depends where you're up to in the writing process, because I suppose, at the minute I'm sort of using sprints to plot, but you're totally right, because we have all these modules as well where you can go and find stuff out, and then we have lots of different resource pages and competitions if you just finish stuff. So you're totally right, actually. I suppose you're not using all the channels all the time. You're sort of picking and choosing as you go through. That's so interesting. What about you, Katina? What is your favorite part?
You know what I'm going to say. This is why you chose me.
So say it.
The sprints, honestly, they've been so important to me this last year. I mean, they've been, you know, when I thought that I couldn't like do anything, or I just didn't feel well enough, I realized I can do half an hour most of the time, 3 times a week. And watching the numbers go up on the sheet, and Stuart made me my own version of it and actually put up a blank for everybody, didn't he? Because it made me feel like every time I get down, go, well, actually, look how many words I've written. It's not, you know, I have achieved something. And then you get to know people there as well. You're not lonely with it. And you were saying about sometimes at the weekend, but sometimes one of us will go on. Anybody else want to do a sprint as well? I don't know if you noticed it. And then people will do that. And I don't know what it is, but it's doing it with other people. I
Mhm.
don't know, is it motivating company? It's a very lonely, oh no, I'm not trying to do I'm not trying to do the lonely.
Do the motto again.
No,
Come on,
don't do the
Katina.
motto again. But it is kind of, you know, generally being a writer, you are alone a lot, and that's fine because you don't feel alone because you're with your characters and everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it's really hard to motivate yourself or you're feeling down, doing something with other people is really important. So yeah, the writing experience has been brilliant. And along with that, I found that if I'm having a day where I'm just it's not a good day, I feel like even watching one of the Hub videos makes me feel like I have a giggle, like listening to you and Stuart chat, for instance, or whoever's doing the video, and just feel like, oh well, that's still writing, because everybody's always goes, still writing, it is still writing. I'm learning something while I'm doing it. I know it's thin, but it is something. So and it's there, I can access it anytime because it's recorded. So yeah,
yes, that is so true. Yes, unfortunately, if you get the third and fourth worst members of the team, me and Stuart, yeah, it can usually be a lot of laughing and not very much actual writing going on, unfortunately. And we're not here for fun, we're here for writing. We are here for fun as well, actually. I have a lot of fun on the Hub. But yeah, I knew you would say sprints. I knew you'd say the sprints because they are my favorite, obviously. But we're building a really nice little video library, so it's good to mention that as well. Actually, you kind of forget about all the content. I forget about all the content when I'm going through. So, and Rachael, what is your most used part of the Hub, or are you like Sarah and you move around depending on where you're up to with writing your 50,000 books a year, or?
Yeah, I definitely move around because some months I'll have more time than other months. And obviously with the authors in residence and all the videos, they're all sort of playback, which I think is so good, because even the live events, you might have posted like, oh, please can you answer my questions? And then you can watch it back and you still feel like you were part of it, even if you couldn't make the particular time. You've chosen me because I'm someone who doesn't really do the sprints.
No, you don't.
You know, I'm a bit naughty, but mainly because I have a 2-year-old, I often can't. I go, oh, I'll do it today, and then I look at the clock. I'm like, oh, it was half an hour ago. Yeah. And so I kind of I have the best of intentions, but it just never works out that I'm on at that time. But I think for me, and the main thing isn't almost something that I use, but it's the fact that the Hub is reactive. So whenever anybody says, oh, I wonder if we could do this thing, or wouldn't it be great if we had something like this, I literally feel like I blink and Stuart and the team have just thought up how to do it. And they're like, oh, by the way, there's this new channel. Do you want to come and see how we do this? So over the 2 years, I've really seen the Hub evolve. And so it all feels like you're really part of what's there. So I think I remember back early on, I was sort of saying, oh, you know, there's always a lot of talks with like agents, but once you've really got an agent, you know, who can you have conversations with in publishing? And then there became this beyond the agent chat. And so now once a month, somebody from the industry will talk. So we've had booksellers, we've had publishers, we've had book designers, we've had librarians, we've had a literary scout, which actually nobody knew what a literary scout was until we had the actual Zoom. So these are like really incredible people that you don't see at a regular conference, or you wouldn't come into contact with, even after your agent is, you wouldn't really get the chance. Yeah. And you're literally there for an hour getting to ask them your questions and talk to them. So I feel like there's things that the Hub offers that you just go, wow, did I really just do that? And that's just your Thursday night or whatever. So I love those things, and I tend to find that they'll then spark my creativity. So a bit like how you've got this energy about the sprints, I'll find if I've gone to one of those events, or even if I've watched the back, I'll then go away and write because I'm kind of inspired by whatever I've listened to. And, you know, we've got the book clubs as well. So you've got authors and illustrators coming in and chatting all different genres. So, you know, there's always something going on. I feel like you can just go on the Hub page anytime or any day, and there'll be new messages in different channels. So, you know, it feels like it's 24/7, which I hope you're not actually working 24/7. But it feels like
yeah, I won't mention probably how late Stuart works, but don't worry, I definitely do not work 24/7 because I'm always having so much fun. This is the problem. I'm doing it right now. I'm just chatting to you guys, and I keep forgetting we're even recording a panel because I just love doing the Hub and doing the Monday meetups and stuff like that. So I can always, as soon as you're talking about things, I'm like, yeah, why didn't I say that? That's also one of my favorite things, and it's really bad. And I'm such a fangirl, but then I also work here, so it's just I'm just the worst type of branded person, but But this is why I'm enjoying talking about this so much, which is really nice to hear from you guys. And we do really love hearing from you guys. So funny you were saying about when somebody suggests something, like we come up with it, because I think the other thing with everybody talking about it being a big community but also a small community, and when it needs to be, is we also have private channels for things like if you are querying for agents and you maybe need to have a little bit of a moan about an agent that's maybe not got back to you for a couple of months. It's quite nice to go in, and it's a locked channel and it's request only, so we make sure people just ask us if they want to go into that channel if they're querying, and then it's a smaller group of people and you feel like a little bit safer having a little bit of a moan, just in case we all worry. I know it's a very small community publishing, and we also have one now for people who have got publishing deals and might want to talk about things when you're not allowed to talk about things, because it's such a nightmare when you're not allowed to talk about things. I've been sat on something for 18 months now, and it's just I've forgotten it's even happening, to be honest, most of the time. So it's really tough, and it's so nice to have somebody that you can actually go on and talk to. So I think that moves me along to my next question, which is so you guys have talked about this a little bit. How does the hub fit in with your writing? So I'm thinking about when you specifically, if you've got kids at home, if you don't, if you've got a really busy job, ill health, how is the hub fitting around your schedule with your own writing and things like that? So I'll bounce straight back to Rachael. How does the hub fit in specifically with your writing, and like why is it useful to have it online as opposed to in person, maybe even?
Yeah, well, you know that I tend to be working on multiple projects at once. And so there's always a problem with one of them in some way. So in some ways,
more books, more problems.
It's my stress relief is that I can go on and just go to the happy channels and see all of the joy, the book joy, and just remember that, you know, there are good things about being a writer. But the main one, which I think I was kind of the person that said, oh, could we do this, is we've got a kind of channel where we put our monthly goals. And I don't know why, but once I've written my monthly goals on the hub, I feel like I have to do them. So I now have, here are my goals and here are the things I'd like to do, so that I'm not sort of got too much pressure. But I just find having that check-in and everybody kind of knowing how your month's going to be almost. You're kind of seeing what everyone's up to, keeping up to date if they're submitting to a competition or if they're on submission to agents, and then checking in with them. Mm-hmm. I find that sort of helps me, sort of I'll go into that. And it just makes me feel like even if I am having a really busy week and I'm not on the hub, that I can check in quite quickly and find out how everyone's getting on. Because sometimes I will go to a channel and it's like 100 messages later and I'm like, oh my God, I've missed that. I missed that conversation. I'll go back and scroll another time. But yeah, it does depend at what stage of my writing I'm at. But I really love that it's on demand. So, you know, if I'm working really late and I miss something, I don't stress about it because I know I'll catch it up. But then when I do have some downtime, there's just so much content you can pick and choose from. And, you know, alongside all the videos, there's a lot of written content that's all been written by like incredible, mainly a lot of the Spark mentors. And so, you know, it's like you've got a Bible there of like what is publishing, all the way from, you know, how to plot and characterization, but what to do when you get an agent, what to do when you get a book deal, what to do on publication day, how to do your marketing. So whatever stage you're at, however you're feeling, you can kind of dip into that. So it kind of does depend what books I'm working on at what time. But I think that's what I like about it, is it's kind of like whatever I'm doing, there's a part of the hub that suits what I need to do in that given moment.
Yeah, so it kind of can fit around you. And I'm just going to pick up actually, because you were talking there about even telling you when you're further along, like after you've got the agent, maybe after you've got the publishing deal, what goes on. So I'm thinking about you here, Sarah, and obviously it's your debut year. It was my debut year last year, and I know it can be absolutely crazy. It's exciting, but also terrifying, mostly terrifying for some reason. And you're just thinking the week before, I can't think of anything worse than anyone ever reading this book. Why did I write it? I want to burn it. No, I don't want a publishing deal. I was wrong. So I know exactly how that feels. So was there anything maybe in the hub, did you have your deal before you came to the hub, or was there anything along the way in the hub that was maybe helpful to you as you were navigating sort of agent, submission, publishing? Anything to do with that?
No, my deal was already in place before I joined the hub.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just the support really, because I am with a big publishing house, and I didn't know anybody else with publishing deals really, and also it was a really long time, so it's been 2 years from my deal to actual publication. So yeah, it was really, I've really kind of gone through the whole process with the hub there, and obviously I've spoken to you about publishing, and there have been people there when I've been like, I don't know what I'm doing, I've got questions, and Beyond the Agent is just, it's perfect. And going back to the question of why it works, you know, the on-demand thing is a really big deal for me, especially with the kids, and the fact that I don't sleep in a normal pattern at night. So being able to just come in and pick things up and kind of answer those questions has been a really big help.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to hear you join the hub sort of after your deal was in place, because I think a lot of people, when they're looking at it, aren't quite sure if it's for them. And of course, it's not going to be for everyone, but it is nice to see all these different people at different stages. And also people maybe even going from, if you join the hub, write a book and then sell and then still staying in, because I think that is a lot for everyone at every stage. I'm always learning stuff. I get really excited because I don't run the Beyond the Agent stuff. That's our events team run that. I'm so excited when I hear who the guest is going to be. I'm like, wow, really? And I was exactly the same about the Book Scout. I was like, what does a Book Scout do? You know, I'd had an agent for 4 years. I didn't know. I was like, what do they do? I want to ask a question in Beyond the Agent. So it's always fun, like, because you can go in and ask a question before they go on. So it's always really nice. But yeah, I'm hearing a lot about being able to watch stuff back, being able to read the Slack messages after and sort of join in later. So is that the same with you, Katina? Is that how it fits in around your writing? Is it a similar sort of vibe?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I use we haven't really sort of mentioned it a lot, but the novel writing and the paper book writing courses with our writers in residence is amazing. It's amazing, really. And I know when I first started, like, I learned so much from Vashti that I kind of thought, well, like, some of it I thought I knew, but actually I've got a completely different, you know, sort of thing. But then that takes kind of quite a lot of energy, listen to something like that. But other times I can look at it on my phone. So I've got the Slack app on my phone, and so even I think when I'm having treatments at the certain times of the month, I'll say to you, oh, can't join your writing sprints today, but I'll be checking on my phone. Like when I'm like in the waiting room or during treatment or whatever, I'll be there doing sort of just flicking through and feel like, it doesn't matter if I'm hospital, because I'm still kind of checking in with writing things. And that's kind of, it's really important. I think it's available, not just when I'm in front of the laptop or joining in something live. So
connectivity, it's really nice. You're right, you can use it on tablet, phone, computer, which is really great. And keeping your BDI on us to make sure we're doing our sprints, Katina, and we know you'll be checking, so we're scared and we make sure we're there, even if you say you're not going to be there, because we know you'll check in. Everyone's just really scary, and that's why we do the sprints, because it's terrifying. No, it's really fun, guys. Honestly, I'm just pulling a chain. Okay, well, that moves us on to my next question, which is, so does anybody have a particular, we've talked a little bit about obviously our writers in residence and the Beyond the Agent. Does anybody have a favorite event or guest that we've had on the hub? So a specific thing we've put on, anybody particularly remembers? Sarah, do you have anything or anyone that you particularly remember that was being useful or fun?
I just listened to Ness Wood's Beyond the Agent. It was really good. She was talking about how she, when she started her career, so she's not an author, she's a book designer, but and I didn't know anything about book design, so it was really interesting from that perspective. But when she started out in her career, she literally went through some design magazines and wrote letters to hundreds and hundreds of companies to ask if she could work for them. And it was just the kind of tenacity and the refusal to give up, and eventually she has this really successful career that I just found really inspirational. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed learning about the process of what goes into designing books. And sorry, I've got a crying child. No, we're okay.
Perfect. See, flexible. Are you okay, Sarah? Do you need to sneak off?
I'll mute for a second so you can't hear.
That's fine. But that was a perfect answer. Absolutely. Ness was amazing recently. And I think that it's funny you said I listened to it, because I think sometimes people don't realize you don't have to be on camera in front of everyone, especially if you've got the video. You can just pop it on, put it through speakers in the kitchen whilst you're making dinner and listen, because we run a lot of stuff as a Q&A. So it's a lot like a podcast. And I always think this, I'm like, actually, this is kind of similar to a podcast. You could totally just listen to it. So it's a bit less pressure, especially if you feel like you can't be on camera, or obviously, we have children who always ask for us. Where I don't think Stephen King had his kids knocking on the door of his writing shed. I'm just saying, you know, I don't think he don't know the born. And so when you don't have that time, sometimes it's great because you can just have it and you can just press pause. And it's not a problem. Yeah, that's a really good one. What about you, Katina? Have you had a favorite thing? Or I know we've just had an event over the weekend, or any particular guest?
There's been a few good ones, but the one that came to mind when you first said is the Canva introduction to Canva that Florian did.
Yeah.
Because we know there's a lot of writing things, but I thought for ages I've got like 2 young adults in the house and their friends, and they're very noisy. They've all been threatened to be quiet right now. I think they've gone off, like 2 of them have gone to the beach and another one's gone for a walk, I think so. Anyway, but the Canva thing probably came at the right time, because I've been asking them, well, what do you use to do graphics audit? But when they tell you, it's like I suddenly feel a lot older than my years. I'm not that old, but they make you feel like when they're that age, like super old. Well, you just do this, and I'm like, no. And then I just couldn't find anything. So when Florian did that, my Canva efforts on the free one are pretty pathetic. I kind of feel like quite proud now that I can actually put a graphic onto Instagram, or they just do something simple. And again, it can even be done from my phone, which it's easy to do stuff on a laptop, but for me, quite often it has to be on my phone, to fit around whatever. So yeah, that I really enjoyed that. And I've heard there's meant to be a part 2. So Florian, I'm still waiting for part 2.
Yeah, she definitely needs to do a part 2. But don't worry, all of our Canva efforts are pathetic compared to Florian. She is the branding of Write Mentor. Anything that looks nice, guys, that you guys are looking at today at WowCon is Florian usually. Not the rest of us. I can't do that sort of stuff. I'm absolutely useless at visual arts. But yes, I also watched that and thought the exact same. And it's something that I didn't realize could be fun. I think sometimes with a lot of these talks, I go in thinking either I know nothing about this or it sounds terrifying. And then I come out thinking, oh, actually, not only is it not terrifying, that actually sounds quite fun and interesting and something I might want to go and look up myself and look into, which is really nice. And I'm totally the same with you, Sarah. I did not understand really about book design, even though literally when you get a publishing contract, you do have somebody assigned to you as a book designer. But I still don't really understand. I hope they never listen to this because it sounds awful. Like I don't understand their job. Well, I didn't understand their job. I don't understand. I'm like, okay, they're the book designer. What is this? Because there's just so many different moving parts, aren't there? So it's so interesting to hear about all the moving parts in your book, because sometimes you don't even get to meet half these people, and it's great. Like I love that. And what about you, Rachel? Do you have a particular favorite time or person?
Lots, but one of the Beyond the Agents was with Sanchita, who's the bookseller at the Children's Bookshop in Muswell Hill.
Yes.
And my debut had just come out, and so I was asked quite a lot of questions in that one. But I was kind of asking, like, well, you know, you're a newbie author. How do you approach a bookseller without being cringe and like saying, do you want to stop my book? And so she was giving us loads of advice about, you know, what it's like as a bookseller, how they want to reach out to authors. And I actually got in touch with her afterwards, and I ended up doing a children's book event in her bookshop about 2 months after. So I think it kind of just was one of those moments where I was like, if it wasn't for the hub, I would have never got the chance to speak to her like that. And I wouldn't have felt confident going into her bookshop and trying to start up that conversation because I was so new. And obviously all the bookshops have been closed in lockdown. So there's no real courses on how do you approach that once you're published. So that was just sort of like an amazing thing that I got the opportunity to kind of speak to her like that, and then feel confident enough to sort of email her and say, oh, well, should we do an event? And it was great. It was a lovely event. So that's my highlights.
Oh, that's so good. And yeah, it's so true, isn't it? The whole confidence thing and feeling like it's a safe space where you can practice X or Y. And then, so say talking to a bookseller, or whether it be pitching your book or anything, and in the hub, you can do it. Nobody's going to laugh at you because we're all in the same boat. We all suck at pitching. We all suck at synopses. Like, it's fine. No one cares. And we just have a little go with each other's. And then you feel a lot more confident, like coming out and speaking to people. It's great. So that's a really good one. That's a nice one. And it's nice everyone had a different one as well, actually. That's really nice. So that moves me on to my next question, second to last question, actually. In terms of accessibility, what is the most useful about having an online community? So obviously we've talked a lot about rewatchable, being able to watch back all the videos and stuff, but is there anything else perhaps to do with timing? I know everyone here, for instance, is in the UK, and we do have some people abroad in the hub who like to jump onto things and it would be 4 a.m. for them, so obviously they like to watch that back. So is there anything in particular that you guys have found really useful in other ways about the accessibility, or is it just so good to have those videos to watch back and those courses to do? So what about you, Katina? What is your sort of favorite accessible element of the hub?
Yeah, because I think I've said a lot, haven't I, about this.
So easy to talk about, so I totally understand
yeah.
why. We've kind of covered it.
Yeah, I think when you say accessible as well, it kind of takes my brain to another side of it, because Stuart from right near the beginning wanted to make it accessible before the hub even was in being, like, to make the community accessible. And it feels very much like the sort of community that if you would just enjoy writing, you don't want to get published, you would be accepted in. If you are somebody who's out there doing, I don't know, videos like on YouTube every day, you'll be welcome. But if you're not, you know, so it kind of feels accessible in that way. And also for me, I feel on a level which I don't get to do the same when I'm out and about, because if you're in a wheelchair or disabled in any way, I kind of, when we do go to things, and I do like doing things face to face, don't get me wrong, but I have to like check, is it actually wheelchair accessible? Because the amount of places say it is and it's not, or where I sit will be like a problem, or there'll be various things like that. Whereas on the hub, that it's the same for everybody, in the sense, you know, I haven't got to worry about any of that. And actually, I kind of think that, because I live in Cornwall, so it's a million miles from everywhere if you live in Cornwall, because we're surrounded by sea on 3 sides. Yeah. So it, you know, even if it wasn't a health thing or a disability thing, it would be a geographical thing. And I do find sometimes living in Cornwall, you don't get as many opportunities, because not many people want to come all the way down to Cornwall to do it. So again, you're not left out of that. And I guess the same with people abroad or wherever, you kind of got that equal playing field. So that's kind of accessible to me as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like, definitely, there's definitely less to think about. You can just, that jumping on element, you don't have to make a big preparation, no matter who you are. That's so true, Katina. And then geographically, totally understand. I'm up north, sort of, I know that Sarah's got some up north roots, might still be up north. I remember we've had a conversation about various counties up north. So, and there's a lot less going on. It's definitely getting better, less London centric, but it's still not quite there yet. You're totally right. So it's nice not having to think about that and expense as well. So Sarah, obviously just mentioning my fellow northern person. So anything, what do you think about, if you want to touch on anything Katina said about geography, or is there anything you specifically have thought about in terms of accessibility with the hub that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. I think that the interesting thing that you mentioned, Katina, is that that it's kind of a level playing field, but at the same time, I don't feel like if somebody came and said these are my accessibility needs, that there would be no hesitation in the hub and WriteMentor. It would be like instantaneous. Okay, what are we going to do? How can we accommodate you? You know, how can we help, basically? And I think that's really important. It just goes back to the welcoming thing, doesn't it? Like it's like nothing is too much trouble. Like, in terms of if you have accessibility needs, if whatever your aspirations are, whatever you want to be here for, and whatever kind of content you want, somebody's going to be there that says, yeah, okay, yeah, that's awesome, let's do it. So yeah, I think
That's so nice. I hope that's true. Anyway, yeah, no, you're totally right. Like we've got transcript on right now in case you need that. I told Stuart I can't help but have to just talk and talk and talk at Paul Writers. So he let me do a Zoom every other Monday. That was really nice of him. My accessibility needs were met with that. So it's great. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think we definitely do try and make sure, again, always striving to do more, but we do try and make sure everybody at least has something that they can do on the hub. So is there anything extra with you, Rachel? Anything at all we haven't touched on? Because we've touched on this so much that I totally understand if we probably covered everything.
I would say it works both ways. It's not just accessibility for the hub members, but it's accessibility for the hub speakers. So WriteMentor is able to just invite lots of people from the publishing industry or the book world that wouldn't otherwise be able to get there. You know, there are some great conferences, but sometimes you see the same people coming up at the same conferences. So if that one's close to you, you'll kind of see the same people year on year, or you'll get similar topics of, you know, like how to plot or how to structure. But I feel like everything in the hub is always changing, it's always different, and you're always searching for different people for us to talk to. And because it is all done either on the chat or on a Zoom, you're able to bring all these different publishing people in. And so the accessibility for them is there, which then means that we're getting to hear from more people. And so I think the whole thing just makes it more accessible and inclusive.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I forget, you know, you're right, actually, I do forget, we do try and invite lots of different people. And I think the biggest thing when you're an author, because authors, so spoilers to anyone who's not published, you don't become a millionaire automatically when you're a children's author. I know it's really rude. I was definitely not told about
Giving
this.
up now.
I know, yeah. How rude. Apart from obviously Katina next year with her 7-figure deal. Apart from her, you don't automatically, or if you're called a particular celebrity name, you don't automatically become a millionaire. And it can be prohibitive, even if you're getting paid expenses to go to various different conferences. If you have to put the money up front, it's really tough. And so you're right, you do sometimes get the same names over and over. I had never even thought of that. Well, this quite nicely rounds me off. I think we're coming towards the end of our time now, which is really sad. But I was going to just lastly ask, what would you recommend, and do you recommend the hub to other kidlit authors? So what would you say if somebody's saying, oh, I'm not sure about, and I'm sure the people who are watching this, I'm not sure, maybe I'll join the hub, maybe I've not decided, would you recommend us, and what would you recommend, and who would you recommend to? What sort of thing would you recommend? So let's go to Sarah. Would you recommend the hub? Do you recommend the hub, or do you tell people to stay away because, you know, you just want to keep it to yourself?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I would definitely recommend. And even if you don't want to commit to the hub straight away, just go and have a look at the WriteMentor webpage, because there's so much on there. Yeah. And then I'm sure people would be convinced to, you know, bite the bullet and go and subscribe.
Yeah, come and have fun with us. Yeah, we have like the podcast, which is free, and we have loads of blog pages and stuff that are free. I think a lot of people sometimes ask, because I understand things can be cost prohibitive. We try and keep costs as low as possible, but I totally understand that you're absolutely right. It's not always the easiest thing to do. But if you do want to dedicate time and you have a little bit of spare money to put into that, then I would always recommend the hub. I think it's a really nicely priced thing. Obviously, I'm biased, which is why I'm asking you guys. So Rachel, do you recommend us? Do you recommend us, or do you tell people to stay away? Let us know. Go on, spill.
No, I absolutely recommend the hub. And I think it's hard, even with this hour, I don't feel like we have really covered exactly what is in the hub. There is so much that we haven't even touched upon. Like, you know, you go in, and I think at first it would seem overwhelming, but, you know, we've got all these kind of cool, hi, welcome, and everything else. But, you know, and it is difficult because everything costs a lot of money. I think depending on what stage of writing you're at, you'll know what you want. If you're looking for like a writing course, then the fact that you get access to not one, but both author in residencies, no matter what your genre is. I can't tell you how much, even when I was writing picture books, watching the novel ones was helpful. And that amount of content alone, you would massively is sort of, you know, the subscription that you would pay, and then you get everything else on top of it. Or if you're looking for critique groups, you know, it would seem really expensive if all you wanted was a critique group. But when you add in the fact you've got the sprints, or you've got the book clubs and everything together, it can work really well. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but you kind of subscribe by the month and see how it goes. So you can kind of join the hub and see if it's right for you. It's not like you're making this huge year-long commitment to do something and then you figure out it's not for you. But I had a month where I was just so swamped with deadlines, I was hardly on the hub. But because you can catch all the content up, it still works. So I think that's the beauty of it being so flexible, is that, you know, hopefully the hub will work for you in whatever kind of stage of writing you're at and whatever life commitments you have.
Yeah, and definitely, it's month by month. It's like Netflix for writers. Or is Netflix not cool anymore? I'm such a boomer. It's like Prime for writers.
It's all about Disney Plus in my house.
Oh, Disney Plus for writers. Oh my gosh, yes. It's Disney Plus for writers. That's the new tagline, guys. Never mind being lonely, because we're so not lonely. We're on the hub. So of course we're just going to get rid of that tagline, Disney Plus for writers. Yes, absolutely. You can cancel anytime. We try and keep that flexible as well, because we know like circumstances change. So yeah, that's a really good point. And Katina, are you going to round us off? Do you recommend the hub to other people?
I do, and I'm always saying, you know, the WriteMentor community and the hub is brilliant. I kind of come across new writers sometimes, and who just seem very lost, or very you can tell they haven't got other writing friends, because you say, oh well, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? And I'll say, if you join in with the community, you will sort of learn so much from other people and have that support. So I usually say to people, if they've just joined the hub as well, because it can be overwhelming actually when you look at all the judges, you go, where do I start? And if I happen to see someone come on, I'll say, well, this is my Twitter handle, and if you ask me any questions, you can DM me, and these are all the people you could ask, and basically anybody will help you. There's not anybody on there that I think would just, you know, snub you. So just go there. There's 2 different payment things as well. So you can go for the lower or the higher thing, which means you can change it up if your finances are different. And you've already said about the fact you can cancel it. So I say to people, give it a go. But also, if you're kind of feeling like you're on there but you're just not getting it, just do sort of reach out to people. And that's what I always encourage people to do. I said, because once you start talking to people, and finding out what other people are doing and what the channels are for and everything, it becomes easier. And I think that's good, because it's quite established now, the hub as well. So yeah, that's what I do. Definitely.
No, it's brilliant. I'd basically just get paid for doing nothing. It's great. I'll just go on the hub, and often Katina or Rachel or Sarah has answered somebody else's question. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't have to do anything. It's great, you guys. It's just such a great community. It just runs itself. Obviously, I do a lot of work as well. And as everyone's agreeing and nodding, yes, Melissa does lots of work and is very important to the hub. No, that's absolutely true. And especially just give it a go quite often as well. If you sign up to our newsletter, and sometimes at conferences, we may give away a free month. That's quite often we'll have a free month, so you can always give it a go, sometimes for free if you're lucky at the time of year. But I think that's all we have time for, and I'm so sad we're like getting towards the end of our hour, so we're going to have to go. But it's been so fun talking to everyone. It's been so nice talking about the hub. But if you guys want to join in on this, we do this every other Monday, basically. First and third Monday of the month, we all have a chat anyway, so you guys can all join in and maybe be part of the next panel next year. Who knows? We should definitely do this again, because it was so fun. So I have been Melissa, and I've been here with Sarah Daniels, Katina Wright, and Rachael Davis, and all the links to books and things for these amazing people will be either below this video, or we will have a little bookshop there. I'll make it really obvious below the video in case you guys want to go and buy their books. And it's been so much fun. So bye guys, I'm really glad that you came on, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye everyone watching. Bye.